the Big 12 power rankings. All right. So Stevie B has already put in his power rankings. All right. He's already done it. And I have to do a couple things here just to make sure I am not. So bear with me for just for 2 seconds. This is again why you need to have a second person on the call, because they're able to fill this time in. All right. Should maybe instead of going over the power rankings, we go over what happened around the Big 12. Is that something that we should do? Let me know. I think we should just go right into the power rankings. Screw it. We'll kind of go over what happened in the Big 12 as we go into the power rankings. All right. Houston. You know what? They got to be last place. They lost to Kansas. I think, and it wasn't just a little bit. They got the doors blown off of them. And that stadium was empty. I don't know if you guys saw pictures of how empty that stadium. I mean, Arrowhead was a ghost town in that stadium. There was no one there. But you know, KU, congratulations. You beat Houston. All right. But I still believe, I guess, let's see. Houston's got to be last. I mean, it's just how it goes when you lose to the worst team, you end up going down. So, and they weren't that high up either. So we got to go that. And then KU, you improved. Congratulations. You moved up one. Now here's where it gets interesting. Oh boy. So we've got UCF, Oklahoma State University, Utah, Arizona. All these 1-3 teams. And then obviously Oklahoma State is 0-4. But here's the deal. They almost beat BYU, okay? They almost beat BYU. At Provo, at night. I mean, they quite literally had the game in their hands. They had the game in their hands. I mean, in terms of power rankings, I think OSU is stronger than their record shows. The only downside is that Garrett Rangel got hurt and had to come out of the game. I feel like if he was still in the game, they might have won. They might have given BYU their first loss. But when you're a team like BYU and you've got the sauce this year, you're not going to lose games when there's a couple minutes left and you're down. You're going to actually come back. It's at home. You were going to win that game. But man, oh man, OSU had the game in their hands. But you have to think, Oklahoma State, your record is really bad. You're underperforming a lot. I think you have to put them at 14. I want to put them at 13 because I think there's a team that is worse than them. And that team is Utah. I think Utah is absolutely horrendous. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm putting Utah at 14. I know. Actually, hold on. I can't do that because they beat Oklahoma State. You're right. It's got to be this. Oops. It's got to be this because they beat Oklahoma State. But that's it. I'm not going to give Utah any more credit. I'm not giving Utah any more credit. Okay? They're so bad. How in the world do you lose to TCU? Seriously? Sonny Dykes is struggling with that team. You're telling me that he came to Utah and beat Utah. No, man, Utah, you're struggling. No. UCF does not, in my opinion, UCF is not a 14 team. They the same way that Oklahoma State University almost beat BYU, UCF went into Ames and almost beat Iowa State. It was almost the same exact game. These horrible teams going to the number 1 and number 2 team in the conference, and they almost beat them. They were ahead with the last drive of the game. Rocco Beck, pulls out the win. It's one of those things where anything can happen in the Big 12, but nowhere on my bingo card did I think that UCF. Do you realize that they were a 2-touchdown dog against Iowa State? And they barely lost to them? Barely. That's how good they were. Either that's how good UCF was playing, or that's how bad Iowa State was playing. So I can't put UCF lower than 12. They were in that game. They were in it. I'm going to bring Baylor up because they now he has them at 13. I respect it. I understand. I guess we're just kind of flip-flopping these around. I'm putting Baylor up because they won. And they won definitively. 60 points. 60 points against Texas Tech. Are you flipping kidding me right now? 60 points. Yeah, and they also barely lost to Colorado on a Hail Mary. Okay. Baylor needs to move up. 60 points. And they went to Lubbock. That's insane. That's insane. They're still 1-3 in the conference, but that's insane. Okay? Baylor. All right. Listen, we talked about this. Dave Aranda's he might not make it to next season. I'm pretty sure he's not going to be back next season. But the players on the team are fighting for this team. They're fighting, and it showed in last night's game. I did not see that coming. An undefeated conference team in Texas Tech getting the doors blown off by Baylor. Yeah. Oh, interesting. You got TCU. I mean, listen, I understand you have to, but actually, you know what? I'm not even going to talk about this. Arizona straight trash. Arizona's bad. I don't know what else you want me to say. Arizona and Utah. What the hell are you guys doing? Did you really think that you were going to be able to just run the Big 12 with the performances that you've been putting on? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You guys got to figure it out. You're in the bottom half of the league. The bottom half. I have Utah at 13th. You're only better than Oklahoma State, Kansas, and Houston. Those are basketball teams. Not even Oklahoma State University. Just the 2 basketball schools, and then Oklahoma State, who's has a weird season so far. But to be fair, they've had a interesting year. Okay, Ollie Gordon maybe we found Ollie Gordon this last weekend. Maybe that was the case. All right, what do we got here? We got the bunch of 2-2 teams. Let's see here. I'm going to put TCU here. And I'll tell you why. TCU's wins. They're against Utah, and they're against Kansas. West Virginia's wins, I believe. Oklahoma State, Kansas, right? Is that right? Or was it Baylor? I can't remember all these games. My brain doesn't work that well. But the games that West Virginia lost, they lost to Iowa State. Wasn't that bad. They got the doors blown off by K-State. I mean, K-State absolutely destroyed them. But I'm a little biased, I think, as you can tell. Get the power cat on my chest here. And you're on KSU Nation. So West Virginia did beat KU. And TCU also beat KU. And it was TCU that had to make a comeback win against KU. Was that the same with West Virginia? I can't remember. I'm not even going to get into it. This is my picks. Oh, shoot. Whoops. Let me fix that real quick. Whoops. All right. Oh, I'm just going to do this right here. All right. These are my picks. I think Arizona State. You're at 7th. Yeah, you lost. You lost to Cincinnati. But we kind of knew going into the game, Cincinnati was playing at home. They had a good win against UCF. And Arizona State lost their quarterback, playing at 9 o'clock a.m. in the morning for their body clock. This was going to be a tough win. If they were going to win, it was going to be a tough win, which, at some point, Arizona State had to come down to earth. But you cannot deny how fun this team has been to watch. Every single one of us predicted that Arizona State was going to be the worst team in the conference. And Control C, Control V. Listen, don't make fun of the way I do things, Steve. All right? If you want to do this, then you get on here and you do it. All right. So Texas Tech has to drop down. I agree with this, Steve. I agree. I completely. Oh, son of a bitch. Whoops. Okay, let's try this. Let's try Steve's way. All right. So I agree with this. Texas Tech coming down to 5. I might even put them at 6. Baylor beat them 60-35. Their defense is nowhere to be found. Absolutely nowhere to be found. Colorado proving us wrong every week. They are a pretty good team. But here's the thing. We need to do tier lists, okay? We need to do tier lists because having Colorado at number 4 is going to give you the wrong idea of how I think Colorado is. Okay? And also I think it's a little indicative of what the Big 12 looks like now, to be fair. No. Okay, this is not working out. Okay. Colorado is 4th, but I don't think they're a contender with these 3 right here. Do I want to say now? Listen, I told Steve this right away after they lost, or after Iowa State beat UCF. I said Iowa State is on fraud alert. Let's just take a gander of Iowa State's last few games, shall we? Let's just take a look. All right, let's look at the full schedule here. I'll just read it off to you so that way you can hear it for yourself. They beat Houston 20-0. For most of that game, it was 3-0. for literally the majority of the game. Houston's last place in the league right now. Let that sink in. They beat Baylor 43-21. Baylor actually came out swinging. Okay, this was at home. Baylor's not the best team. Steve has them at 13. Then they went on the road to play at West Virginia, 28-16. Now, that was a pretty dominant win, but the way that those points were, it was 0-14, or 0 first quarter, second quarter was 14, 0 third quarter, 14. That's how the touchdowns went. UCF 38-35. They beat Baylor, UCF, West Virginia, and Houston. They're on fraud alert for sure. Their offense is not convincing for me at all. Their defense, okay. All right. Their defense keeps them in. Their offense is not doing it for me. They have not dominated in the way that I think a top team should be. So they're undefeated. I get that. I'm going to make a lot of Iowa State fans really mad. But I'll tell you why I put them at third. Because the coach of West Virginia, who is completely unbiased in this decision between K-State and Iowa State, he's the coach for West Virginia. The coach for West Virginia. He doesn't care about Iowa State or K-State. He's not trying to look for a job there. So for him to say that K-State is better than Iowa State after he just played both teams back to back, he said K-State was better. So I'm going to agree with him because I can. I can agree with him if I want. And you want to know something? The top two right here for my picks, those are the teams that are going to Arlington. I mean, that's the facts. I know that there's a lot of football to play, and anything can happen in the Big 12. But K-State BYU, it's going to be a rematch in Arlington, and I think K-State's going to get the dub. I mean, what do you expect? I'm on KSU Nation. What do you expect, right? We really need a win over a ranked opponent. Yeah, we'll get one. Barring that Iowa State doesn't lose any more games, we'll win. We'll win over Iowa State when we go to Ames. Their wins are not convincing. Let's look at the next games that they have ahead. Texas Tech in Ames. Yeah, that's going to be a win for Iowa State. KU. Yeah. At Arrowhead. Yeah, that's a win for Iowa State. Cincinnati. Ooh, now that's a sneaky game. That's a sneaky game. That could be good. That could actually be a good game. Cincinnati might actually surprise people when they play Iowa State. But they're playing in Ames. That's the ticker. Cincinnati is going to be walking in as dogs at Ames. So there's that. And then Utah. Look, I have no faith in Utah whatsoever. Their defense is not what was advertised. They are completely fallen apart. They've fallen apart completely. Their season's over as far as I'm concerned. They will be lucky. They'll be lucky to get a bowl game. Now, I know they only need 2 more wins to get a bowl game, but seriously, with the way that they've been playing, Utah's a dumpster fire. They need to completely reevaluate their team after this season's over. And then all the way at the end of November, they play K-State. So, yeah, that's going to be the time that we're going to really, I mean, obviously we're going to see what K-State's made of, but both teams, I mean, K-State plays Cincinnati also. We play them, I think, a little earlier than they do. I'm not 100% sure how that works, but K-State's schedule looking pretty good. KU, Houston, Arizona, Cincinnati, and then Iowa State. That's going to be a great stretch for K-State, I feel like. And having our only L to BYU going into the Iowa State game, I think that's going to be really good. So these are my power rankings.